Why suicide is 300x more after psychiatric hold. A survivor's guide disclaimer. The author of this book is a survivor, not a medical doctor or a lawyer. This guide is for informational and peer support purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional medical, psychological, or legal advice. Do not abruptly stop taking prescribed medications without consulting a qualified, harm reduction healthcare provider. If you are in immediate physical danger, please contact a non-coercive emergency service or a trusted ally. Introduction. Surviving life after freedom. You can breathe. You can choose when to sleep. You can choose when to eat. You can choose who is in your room. You survived. But something happened in that place. Something the system does not want to name. Something you may still be trying to put into words. I know. I was there too. The terror they called treatment. I have been terrified of needles my whole life. My mother used them to hurt me. She would stab me to punish me, to control me, to remind me that my body was not my own. That terror never left me. I carried it into the military. I carried it into therapy, where the staff reminded me every single day that they could inject me whenever they wanted. They never actually did it, but the threat was always there. The threat is the weapon. Just knowing that at any moment, people could hold me down and force a needle into my body, just like my mother did, kept me in constant terror. If the needle was threatened against you, or if you actually got it, you know what that did to your nervous system. Your body was no longer yours. I was placed in a room with 3 other men. We slept side by side. We breathed the same air. At night, one of them would snore and fart all night. The air was so thick I would wake up dizzy and nauseous every morning. I could not open a window. I could not leave. I just had to lie there, breathing it in night after night. The medications I saw did not heal people. They turned people into ghosts. Men who had once been fathers, brothers, sons. They sat in chairs all day, staring at nothing, drooling onto their shirts. Some of them wanted it. Being sedated was easier than being awake. I was one of the few who was not medicated. I saw everything, and I knew if I stayed much longer, I would become one of them. That is how the system works. It breaks you until you are too tired to fight, and then it calls that improvement. One of the patients on my ward was a sexual predator. He would linger in the bathroom when I was brushing my teeth, standing behind me, watching me. I could feel his eyes on my back. It was the same feeling I had during the sexual assault I survived at the VA 7 months earlier. My body remembered. I was being re-traumatized in real time. I reported him. I asked for help. The staff did not stop him from lingering. They did not move him. They did not move me. A few days later, another patient approached me. He had heard about my complaint. He told me in plain words that if I kept reporting people, I would get stabbed. Shanked, he called it. I did not sleep that night. The staff did not protect me. They made me feel like I was the problem for speaking up. One of them said, "Snitches get stitches." Every 30 minutes, someone shined a flashlight into my eyes. Not to check on me. They did it to remind me that I was not in control. They did it to remind me that I belonged to them. For 2 months, I never had a full night of sleep. My body was exhausted, but my brain was always on alert. I could not heal. I could not rest. I could not recover. Before I went in, I had weekly therapy with a VA counselor who knew my history. I had daily 12-step meetings where I connected with other survivors. I had a community. I had a purpose. All of that was stripped away. Instead of healing, I was surrounded by men who were not in recovery. They were in captivity. They talked about getting cocktails of medications that would simulate being drunk all day. Their addiction was not being treated. It was being redirected into chemical sedation. The system does not care about your recovery. Cares about your compliance. Cares about keeping you quiet, contained, processed. The bias that labels pain as danger. I am an Arab American Muslim. My name is Mohammed. When I showed signs of distress, overwhelmed, exhausted, terrified of being locked up again, the system did not see a man in pain. It saw a threat. It saw someone who might become homicidal because I was suicidal. This is not just about me. It is a documented pattern. In the psychiatric system, minorities, especially Arab, Black, and Muslim men, are more likely to be labeled dangerous when they express suicidal thoughts. The same despair that gets a white woman compassion gets a brown man handcuffs and a 60-day hold. Men in crisis are seen as homicidal. Women in crisis are seen as suicidal. And people of color are seen as threats. I was not a danger to anyone. I was drowning. And instead of a lifeline, they gave me a cage. If you are a minority, if you are a veteran, if you are in the court system, and you were labeled dangerous when you were just in pain, I know what that felt like. They looked at your identity, not your humanity, and they used it against you. Waiting to die upon admission. My prescribed hernia harness was taken from me for safety. 40 days into my 60-day hold, my hernia dropped into my scrotum. I was in excruciating pain. I could barely walk. I asked for help. I asked over and over. The doctor looked at me and said, "You will not see a surgeon until you go into physical shock." That's the system. The psychiatric hospital does not perform surgery on site. If I went into shock, by the time they found me, transported me, and found a surgeon, I would already be dead. Something inside me gave up. I stopped hoping. I stopped planning for a future that might never come. I just waited. Waited to see if the pain would stop. Waited to see if I would go into shock. Waited to die. I submitted to a sentence of death by lethal injection. Waiting for my hernia to burst and my feces poisoning my body. A dead man walking. If you felt that too, the giving up, the quiet belief that you might not make it out, you are not weak. That is a survival response. Your brain protected you from unbearable pain. How this book was born when I finally got freedom. I was terrified, not just of the outside world, but of asking for help. Every instinct screamed. If I talk to a doctor, if I call a hotline, they will send me back. So I stayed silent. I sat alone with the intrusive thoughts, the ones that told me I was better off dead, that I had failed my children, that I would never recover. I could not talk to my family. I could not talk to a therapist. I was too afraid of being committed again. I was completely alone. And then I did something desperate. I turned to artificial intelligence. Not to replace human connection, but because it felt safe. An AI does not call the police. An AI does not put you in a psychiatric hold. It just listens. I poured out my despair. I expected nothing in return. The AI showed me the research. It pulled up the meta-analyses from JAMA Psychiatry. It showed me the 300x suicide risk spike in the first week after discharge. It compared my experience to prison release. It named the iatrogenic trauma. It gave a name to the terror I had been carrying in silence. For the first time in weeks, I was not crazy. I was not broken. I was not a failure. I was a survivor of a system that was killing people, and nobody was talking about it. The AI did not write this book. I wrote this book. But the AI helped me uncover the truth. And it gave me a mission. If this data existed, proof that the system was creating the very suicide it claimed to prevent, why was there no short, simple guide for the person walking out the doors? Why was every survivor left to drown in silence? I looked. There was nothing. So I decided to write it. For the person lying awake at night, terrified to speak, wondering if they are the only one who feels this way. You are not the only one. This book is your map. The system will not tell you the truth. The doctors will not tell you that the week after you walk out is the most dangerous week of your life. The prosecutor will not tell you that your identity made you a target. But I will tell you, because I lived it, and I found the data that proves it. This book exists because someone had to say it. Because millions of survivors are walking out of those doors every year, alone, terrified, and silent, and nobody is giving them a map. This is that map. Not a clinical textbook. Not written by the people who held the keys. Written by someone who walked out carrying the exact same wounds you are carrying. We are going to start with the truth. Then we are going to talk about how to wake your nervous system back up, how to wash off the labels they gave you, how to protect yourself legally, and how to fight back if and when you are ready. You survived the hold. Now let us survive the freedom. How to use this book. This book is a map. It is designed to be read in order, but you can skip ahead if you need immediate help. If you just got out and feel numb, Start with Chapter 2. If you need reasons to stay alive right now, go straight to Chapter 4. If you are afraid to go outside, read Chapter 6. If you want to protect yourself legally, read Chapter 7. If you want to fight the system, read Chapter 8. You do not have to read this book all at once. Read a chapter. Take a break. Come back when you are ready. This book is yours. Use it however you need to. Chapter 1. The system of suicide. What they don't tell you when you are put on a psychiatric hold. They tell you it is for your safety. They tell your family it is to help you. They do not tell you that the week after you walk out is one of the most dangerous weeks of your entire life. They do not tell you that your risk of suicide spikes 300 times higher in that first week. They do not tell you that the trauma of what happens inside, the threats, the labels, the loss of control, the physical neglect, can make you 30 times more likely to die by suicide for years afterward. They do not tell you this because they do not want you to know. And they do not want your family to know. But you deserve to know. You deserve the truth. The top 5 global suicide triggers rank trigger risk multiplier duration 1 prior suicide attempt. Strongest predictor. Lifelong. 2 just left a psychiatric hold. 300x in first week. 30x for years. Years to decades. 3 just got out of jail. 9x. 1 to 3 years. For severe mental health diagnosis. Varies. Lifelong. 5 severe trauma. 2x to 4x. Decades. You are in the number 2 spot. That is not your fault. That is the system's fault. Why psychiatric hold is unique. Psychiatric hold discharge is the only event on this list that combines 3 deadly factors. Factor what it means: high volume. 1.5 to 2.2 million people discharged every year in the U.S. Extreme intensity. In the first week, suicide rate is 2,950 per 100,000 person years, 300 times higher than the general population. Long duration. Risk remains 30 times higher for years after discharge. In plain terms, if you survive a psychiatric hold, the week after you walk out is statistically one of the most dangerous weeks of your entire life. And the trauma stays with your nervous system for years. Psychiatric hold versus jail metric. Post-psychiatric discharge. Post-jail release. Immediate suicide risk. 100x to 300x higher. 9x higher. Raw annual deaths. 5,000 to 7,500. 10,000. Annual release population. 1.5 to 2.2 million. 7 to 7.5 million. Risk per person. Extremely high density. Lower density. Why it hurts differently. Help disguised as coercion. Moral injury. Rights stripped while you are told you are being healed. You know it is punishment. Your sense of self can fight an open adversary. The bottom line. More people die after jail release in raw numbers. But per person, post-psychiatric discharge risk is 10 to 20 times higher than post-jail release. The system of suicide. The system does not just fail you. It actively breaks you down. 1. It takes your autonomy. You are locked in a room. You cannot leave. You cannot say no. You are treated like a child or a criminal, even though you committed no crime. This is captivity, not care. 2. It threatens your body. For some, it is the needle. For others, restraints. For you, it was watching drooling patients, breathing toxic air, the flashlight in your eyes every 30 minutes. Your body was no longer yours. That is terror dressed up as medicine. 3. It strips your identity. They give you a label. You are no longer a person with a history, a family, or a future. You are a diagnosis. You are a file. That label follows you like a shadow. 4. It destroys your life. Your bills go unpaid. Your credit is destroyed. Your landlord evicts you. Your job fires you. Your partner leaves you. You walk out with nothing, no home, no money, no dignity. You committed no crime, and yet you are punished like a convict. 5. It sends you back to the same crisis. You are released back into the exact same life that broke you, but now you are more broken, more exhausted, more hopeless. And you are expected to just get better. 6. It leaves you disabled. They take away your medications or put you on new ones that leave you unable to function. You cannot think. You cannot work. You feel useless. And no one wants to spend years feeling useless. What the research calls this iatrogenic trauma. Harm caused by the very system that was supposed to help you. The hospital harmed you. The labels harmed you. The threats harmed you. The neglect harmed you. The loss of everything, your home, your job, your dignity, harmed you. This is not your fault. The despair you feel right now is not a sign that your illness is getting worse. It is a sign that your nervous system survived something terrible and is trying to protect you. The system wanted you to believe you were broken. The truth is, the system is broken. And you are the proof. What the data says: time frame. Suicide rate. Times higher than general population. First week. 2,950. 300x. First month. 2,060. 200x. First 3 months. 1,132. 100x. Years after. 277 to 484. 30x. All discharges. 484. 35x. Sources. Chung et al., JAMA Psychiatry. Chung et al., BMJ Open. Meta-analysis of 100-plus studies, 17,857 suicides, 4.7 million person-years. A warning: this chapter is not your whole story. Your story is deeper. Your pain is real. We do not need to list every scar to prove you suffered. This chapter is a warning. A warning to you. If you feel worse now than when you went in, you are not crazy. The data proves you are right. A warning to your family. If you are thinking of committing someone, you need to know the risk you are taking. A warning to the world. This system kills people. And it is time we talk about it. From warning to survival: now that you know the danger, we can do something about it. The rest of this guide is not about what the system did to you. It is about what you can do for yourself. You survived the psychiatric hold. Now let us survive the freedom. The medical system offered you coercion and confinement. We are offering you community, holistic healing, and truth. Together, our solutions are 300 times better than the trauma factory you just walked out of. Take a deep breath. You are safe now. Let's figure out how to live again. Chapter 2. Understanding the thaw: why you feel numb, exhausted, and stripped of your soul. You finally made it home. The doors are locked behind you, not in front of you. No flashlight, no shared room, no threats. So why don't you feel relieved? Why do you feel nothing? Why do you stare at the wall for hours, unable to move, unable to care, unable to even remember what it felt like to have ambition? The biology of captivity: when a human being is trapped in a terrifying, inescapable situation, like being locked in a psychiatric ward, threatened with needles, surrounded by violent offenders, stripped of sleep, the nervous system does something remarkable. Protects you. You couldn't fight your way out. You couldn't run away. So your body did the only thing left. It shut down. In trauma science, this is called dorsal vagal shutdown. Think of it like a biological hibernation. Your brain dialed down your emotions, numbed your physical pain, and turned off your ambition so that the daily terror of captivity wouldn't destroy you. Your spirit did not die in that hospital. It went into hiding to keep you safe. The chemical factor: if you were subjected to forced or coerced medications, this biological freeze is heavily compounded by a chemical one. Many psychiatric drugs forcefully suppress dopamine and alter the central nervous system. This causes a condition called anhedonia, the literal inability to feel pleasure, process a beautiful day, or even follow the plot of a television show. One survivor described it this way: I would force myself to sit at Starbucks and pretend to read, but my brain couldn't process the words. I couldn't feel the sun on my face. I was a ghost in my own body. This is not clinical depression returning. This is a drug-induced, mechanical suppression of your humanity. The global parallel. Hikikomori: you are not alone in this. In Japan, they call people like us hikikomori, those who withdraw from society completely, staying in their rooms for months or years. Estimates range from 500,000 to over 2 million in Japan alone. Some experts warn the number could reach 10 million. In Korea, the government recently launched an investigation into socially withdrawn youth, recognizing it as an urgent mental health crisis. different names. Same wound. The hikikomori in Japan and anhedonia in America are often called the homeless inside of home. They are physically present but emotionally and socially absent. They feel the same numbness, the same exhaustion, the same loss of purpose. They too are told they are lazy or broken when they are simply surviving unbearable pain. If you feel like you have become a hikikomori in your own life, trapped in your room, unable to face the world, unable to explain why you are not weak, you are responding to a world that abandoned you. Why snap out of it doesn't work. Your family may tell you to snap out of it. Your friends may tell you to get back to normal. The system may tell you that you are non-compliant or treatment resistant. None of them understand what happened to your body. When you survive a blizzard, you cannot put your freezing hands directly into boiling water. The shock will cause more damage. You have to warm them up slowly. The same is true for your nervous system. Right now, your brain still thinks you are in danger. It is going to take time for your body to believe that the heavy doors are actually locked behind you. Thawing takes time, and that's okay. Here is what you need to know. Your ambition is not gone. It is hibernating. Your spirit is not dead. It is waiting. Your purpose is not lost. It is buried under layers of trauma, exhaustion, and institutional betrayal. The thawing process is slow. It is not linear. Some days you will feel a flicker of something, a moment of curiosity, a spark of desire, a flash of anger, and it will disappear as quickly as it came. That is normal. That is the thaw beginning. Micro steps for the first days home. Do not try to fix your entire life. Do not try to get back to normal. Do not make irreversible decisions during acute destabilization. Do this instead. 1. Zero expectation. Rest. Your only job right now is to rest. Sleep when you can. Sit in silence. Stare at the wall if you need to. Do not force yourself to be productive. Productivity is for people whose nervous systems are not in survival mode. 2. Celebrate micro-choices. Rebuild your sense of control through tiny decisions. Choose what time you eat. Choose the temperature of your room. Choose to sit in silence or listen to music. Choose to open a window or close it. Every choice you make is a signal to your brain. You are no longer a prisoner. 3. One trusted connection. You do not need to tell your full story. You do not need to explain everything. Just let one person know, I am not okay. I don't need you to fix it. I just need you to know. 4. A gentle routine. Create a simple, flexible daily structure. Wake at the same time. Eat something, anything. Step outside for 1 minute. Go to sleep at the same time. Predictability signals safety. Safety signals the thaw. 5. Name your survival. Say this out loud, even if you don't believe it yet. I survived something terrible. The numbness is a survival response. My spirit is resting, not dead. The thaw has begun. The bridge from numbness to purpose. You may still feel completely numb. You may still feel like you are waiting to die. That is okay. That is where you are right now. But here is the truth. If you are reading this, you are still fighting. You may not feel like you are fighting. You may feel like you have given up. But you picked up this book. You read this chapter. You are still breathing. That is a reason to stay. The thaw takes time. Some days you will feel nothing. Some days you will feel everything. Both are progress. Your spirit is not lost. It is resting. When it wakes up, it will be ready to live again. Chapter 3. Washing off the labels they gave you when you walked into that hospital. You were a person with a name, a history, a family, and a future. When you walked out, you were a file. Incompetent. Dangerous. Non-compliant. Treatment-resistant. Crazy. Broken. They wrote these words on a clipboard. They used them to justify your captivity. They used them to strip your rights. They used them to dismiss your pain. And now, if you are like most survivors, you have started to believe them. Stop. Those labels are not truth. They are tools of control. The system does not give you a label because it is true. It gives you a label because it is useful. Incompetent means we can make decisions for you. Dangerous means we can keep you locked up. Non-compliant means you are not doing what we tell you. Treatment-resistant means we do not want to listen to you. These labels are not clinical truths. They are weapons. They use them to silence you, to discredit you, to make you doubt your own reality. Your reality is real. Your pain is real. Your experience is valid. Step 1. Get your records. See what they wrote. You cannot wash off a label you cannot see. Under federal law, you have the right to request your complete medical records from the hospital, the clinicians, and the court evaluators. This includes progress notes, evaluation reports, and discharge summaries. How to do it? 1. Write a formal request to the Health Information Management Department of the hospital or facility. 2. Include your full name, date of birth, and dates of treatment. 3. Specify that you want all records, including progress notes and psychiatric evaluations. 4. Send the request by certified mail so you have proof of when you sent it and when they received it. 5. The facility has 30 days to provide your records. Why this matters? You are going to find things in those records that are false, exaggerated, or missing. That is not your fault. That is the system's failure. But once you see it, you can begin to challenge it. Step 2. Audit the labels when you get your records. Read them carefully. Look for contradictions. One doctor says you are calm and cooperative. Another says you are agitated and aggressive. Which is true? Missing information. Did they record your repeated requests for medical help? Did they record your trauma history? Did they record your VA clearance? False statements. Did they write that you refused medication when you were never offered any? Did they write that you were non-compliant when you did everything they asked? Exercise, the fact versus label audit. Take a piece of paper. Draw a line down the middle. Fact. Label. I asked for help with my hernia 5 times. Patient is demanding. I was terrified of needles because of childhood abuse. Patient is paranoid. I completed all court-ordered programs. Patient remains non-compliant. Now you can see the lie. The label is not the truth. The fact is the truth. Step 3. Challenge the record. Correct the lie under HIPAA. You have the right to request a correction to your medical records. If they refuse, you have the right to add a statement of disagreement that is permanently attached to your file. How to do it? 1. Write to the facility's privacy officer. 2. Clearly state the specific error. 3. Provide evidence if you have it. 4. Request that the record be corrected or that your statement of disagreement be attached. This does not guarantee they will change the record, but it creates a permanent legal trail that says, I disagree. This is the truth. Step 4. Find a label-free clinician. You may still need therapy, but you do not need a therapist who will simply relabel you. How to find a good clinician? When you interview a potential therapist, ask them directly, do you work with trauma-informed, non-pathologizing frameworks? Do you respect self-determination and informed consent? Will you treat me as a person, not a diagnosis? A good clinician will say yes and mean it. A bad clinician will talk about your compliance or your symptoms. Where to look? Therapists trained in somatic experiencing, IFS, or sensorimotor psychotherapy are more likely to see you as a whole person. Look for clinicians who explicitly mention trauma-informed care and informed consent on their websites. Avoid clinicians who use language like treatment-resistant or non-compliant. Those are red flags. Step 5. Find your people. Peer support. The single most powerful way to wash off a label is to find people who do not see the label at all. Wildflower Alliance. Peer-led support groups. No clinical jargon. No labels. Mind Freedom International. Survivor-led advocacy. They understand what you went through. Project Let's. Disability justice and peer support for survivors of psychiatric harm. Hearing Voices Network. Support for people who hear voices or experience extreme states. Non-pathologizing. You do not have to speak. You can just listen. But being in a room with people who have walked the same road is medicine that no hospital can prescribe. Step 6. The internal work. Wash off the labels in your own mind while you are doing the external work. You also need to do the internal work. Exercise. Label swap when you catch yourself thinking, I am broken. Stop. Say out loud, that is not my voice. That is the system's voice. My truth is, I survived something terrible. I am still here. I am still fighting. Exercise. The Name Yourself ritual. Write a short paragraph about who you really are, not who they said you are. Include your name, your history, your values, your hopes. Read it every morning. Exercise. The witness practice. When you hear someone else use a label against you, difficult, non-compliant, unstable, imagine you are a witness in a courtroom. Simply observe. They are using a label. That is their story, not my truth. You do not have to defend yourself. You do not have to argue. Just witness it and let it pass. The bridge. From labels to living. You have been told who you are by people who did not know you. You have been labeled, filed, and dismissed. But those labels are not your truth. Your truth is deeper. You survived something terrible. You are still here. You are still fighting. The labels are not who you are. They are what happened to you. Now you get to decide who you become. Chapter 4. Finding your reasons to live. You may be reading this with chronic pain. You may be aging and wondering if your best years are behind you. You may be exhausted, bone-deep exhausted, and wondering if it is even worth trying. You may still feel like you are waiting to die. I understand. I was there. I was a dead man walking in my own body, waiting for my hernia to burst, waiting for the system to finish me off. That wait is real. I will not tell you to look on the bright side. I will not tell you that everything happens for a reason. What I will tell you is this: you are still here, and that means something. The global endpoint of waiting to die in Japan. There is a word for the endpoint of the waiting to die mindset: kodakushi, lonely death. In the 2025 fiscal year, 76,941 people died alone in their homes in Japan. Nearly 77,000 people who died unnoticed, unmissed, unloved. And for nearly 30% of them, over 22,000 people, their bodies were not discovered for more than a week. The hikikomori, the homeless inside of home, often become kodakushi. They withdraw from society completely, stay in their rooms for years, and eventually die alone. That is the endpoint of the waiting to die mindset. You are reading this book. You are still fighting. You are still breathing. That is not nothing. That is everything. The ripple effect. What your death would do to those who love you. When someone dies by suicide, the trauma does not end with them. It ripples outward, infecting everyone who loved them. The data, having lost a loved one to suicide, is associated with a 2.8 times higher risk of suicide compared to people who have not lost a loved one. Individuals living in a household where a suicide occurred face a 32% higher risk of death from any cause. Household members exposed to a suicide are more than 4 times more likely to die by suicide themselves. The risk of suicide, deliberate self-harm, and psychiatric illness remains elevated for at least 10 years after the loss of a close relative. The risk of completed suicide is highest among wives of suicide decedents. Suicide survivors closely related to the deceased experience rates of complicated grief at twice the level as friends and extended relatives, 57% to 80% versus 14% to 28%. What this means: when you are thinking about ending your life, you are not just deciding for yourself. You are deciding for everyone who loves you. You are handing them a 2.8 times higher risk of dying by suicide themselves. You are handing them a 32% higher risk of early death. You are handing them a lifetime of complicated grief. Your death would not end the pain. It would multiply it. Reasons to live, even when you can't find one. For the person you might become. You do not know who you will be in 5 years. You do not know who you will be in 1 year. You do not even know who you will be tomorrow. But the person you will become is waiting for you to stay. 2. For the people who need you. You may feel like you have no one, but someone somewhere needs you. A family member, a friend, a survivor who will read this book one day and realize they are not alone. You are a voice for people who cannot speak. That is a reason to stay. 3. For the truth. The system does not want you to tell your story. It wants you to be silent. It wants you to be a file, not a voice. Every day you stay alive, you are proving the system wrong. Your truth matters. Your voice matters. For the small things. A warm cup of tea. The sun on your face. A bird outside your window. A song that reminds you of a better time. These are not trivial. These are the threads that hold you to life. 5. For the hope that might come. You may not feel hope right now. That is okay. But hope is not a feeling. It is a decision. You decide to stay. You decide to wait and see. And sometimes, if you stay long enough, hope arrives when you least expect it. 6. For your soul's peace. Many religious traditions teach that suicide is not an escape from suffering. It is a transfer of suffering to another realm. The Catechism of the Catholic Church teaches, we are stewards, not owners, of the life God has entrusted to us. It is not ours to dispose of. The Church also acknowledges that those who take their own lives may be in a state of purgatory, an unpleasant but hopeful state of purification, and that we should not despair of the eternal salvation of persons who have taken their own lives. By ways known to Him alone, God can provide the opportunity for salutary repentance. The wisdom of other traditions echoes this. In some Buddhist and theosophical teachings, the soul of one who dies by suicide can become a shade, trapped in an astral realm called Kamaloka, the place of desire and passion, eaten up by his own thoughts. The despair you feel now would not end. It would continue without a body, without hope of relief. In Islamic teachings, Prophet Muhammad said, whoever purposely throws himself from a mountain and kills himself will be in the fire, falling down into it and abiding therein perpetually forever. And whoever drinks poison and kills himself with it, he will be carrying his poison in his hand and drinking it in the fire wherein he will abide eternally forever. And whoever kills himself with an iron weapon will be carrying that weapon in his hand and stabbing his abdomen with it in the fire, wherein he will abide eternally forever. Jewish tradition teaches that life is sacred and that suicide is a violation of God's covenant. The Talmud teaches that a person who takes their own life is denied proper burial rites. These teachings are not meant to frighten you. They are meant to remind you, your suffering is real, but it is not eternal. There is a path through it, but that path requires staying alive. The science of giving. Why volunteering can save you. You may not feel ready to help anyone. You may feel like you have nothing to give. But the research is clear, volunteering is medicine. Regular volunteers have a 22% lower mortality rate than non-volunteers, an effect comparable to regular exercise. While 57% of the general population consider their lives meaningful, that number rises to 70% among volunteers. 78% of socially engaged people are satisfied with their lives, compared to 65% of the general population. Nearly 70% of volunteers describe themselves as resilient, compared to 55% of the general population. Volunteering reduces depression, increases happiness, optimism, self-esteem, and a sense of purpose. People who volunteer or perform other acts of kindness are happier, less depressed, and less lonely than others. What this means, you do not need to be healed to help someone else. In fact, helping someone else is often what starts the healing. Where to start? Call your local food bank. Ask if they need help sorting donations. Visit a nursing home. Ask if you can sit with someone who has no visitors. Join a peer support group not as a patient but as a listener. Write a letter to someone who is struggling. Tell them they are not alone. You have survived something terrible. That means you have something to offer someone who is still in the middle of it. How to find a reason when hope feels gone. Exercise. The 1-hour survival contract. Do not try to survive a day. Do not try to survive a week. Just survive the next hour. Say out loud, I will stay for 1 more hour. In that hour, I will do one small thing: drink water, breathe, sit in the sun. After that hour, I will decide if I can stay for the next hour. Exercise. The legacy list. Write down 3 things you want to leave behind. Not material things. Things that matter, a lesson you have learned, a truth you have uncovered, a message you want to leave for others. This is not about fame. It is about meaning. You have survived something terrible. That gives you something to say. Exercise. The for them practice when you cannot find a reason to live for yourself. Live for someone else. A child. A friend. A cause. A future survivor who needs your story. Say out loud, I am staying for the person who will read this book one day and realize they are not alone. The bridge. From waiting to choosing you may still feel like you are waiting to die. That is okay. That is where you are right now. But here is the truth. You are still here. You are still reading. You are still fighting. That means part of you has already chosen to live. That part may be small. It may be buried under layers of trauma, exhaustion, and pain. But it is there. Listen to that part. Even if it is barely a whisper, listen to it. It will grow. Slowly. Imperceptibly. 1 hour at a time. You survived the hold. Now you are choosing to survive the freedom. That is a reason to live. Chapter 5. Nourishing body and spirit, turning your light bulb back on your nervous system has been through a war. The hospital was not a place of healing. It was a place of survival. Your body learned to brace, to freeze, to shut down. Now you are free. But your body doesn't know it yet. This chapter is about gently reminding your nervous system that the danger has passed. These are not prescriptions. They are tools, things you can try, adapt, or ignore. Your body is yours again. You get to choose. Trauma release exercises. Shaking it out. Have you ever seen a dog after a near miss with a car? It doesn't just walk away. It shakes, trembles, vibrates from head to tail. That shaking is not weakness. It is the nervous system resetting itself. TRE is a set of simple exercises that fatigue the leg muscles, triggering a natural involuntary tremor. This tremor releases deep muscular tension and signals to the brainstem that the danger has passed. What the research says, TRE has been shown to reduce state anxiety. It promotes physical relaxation, rebuilds body coherence, and enhances life energy. It may improve mood, sleep difficulties, pain, and cognitive function. TRE is being studied as an adjunctive treatment for PTSD. How to start? Find a certified TRE provider online or in your area. Start with just the first few exercises. Do not push yourself. Let the tremors come naturally. Do not force them. If you feel overwhelmed, stop. Rest. Try again another day. Important. If you are in deep freeze or exhaustion, start with gentler methods first before attempting TRE. Somatic experiencing. Befriending your body. Somatic experiencing is a body-based therapy developed by Dr. Peter Levine. It does not require you to relive your trauma in detail. Instead, it gently guides your attention to physical sensations, tightness, heat, numbness, and helps your nervous system complete the defensive responses that were interrupted during captivity. What the research says, one randomized controlled trial found that SE produced significant PTSD symptom reduction across up to 15 sessions in 63 participants. SE is designed to address autonomic nervous system dysregulation and its impact on anxiety, depression, and PTSD. Studies suggest SE may offer positive benefits for both people diagnosed with PTSD and the general population. How to start? Look for a certified somatic experiencing practitioner at traumahealing.org. In a session, your therapist will help you track subtle body sensations. You will learn to pendulate, moving between a sense of safety and a tiny, manageable piece of distress. The goal is not to eliminate the memory, but to change how your body responds to it. EMDR, uncoupling memory from panic. Eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, uses rhythmic bilateral stimulation, eye movements, taps, or tones to help your brain reprocess traumatic memories. The memory stays. The physical panic attached to it begins to fade. What the research says, EMDR may increase the likelihood of losing a PTSD diagnosis at post-treatment by more than double. EMDR reduces PTSD symptoms compared to waiting list or usual care. EMDR and trauma-focused CBT both show significant long-term efficacy exceeding 1 month post-treatment. Among military clients, those who attended at least 4 EMDR sessions showed substantial symptom reductions. How to start? Find an EMDR certified therapist at emdria.org. Make sure they have experience with complex trauma or institutional trauma. Your therapist will first help you build stabilization and grounding skills before any processing begins. Vagus nerve activation. The body's reset button, the vagus nerve, is the main highway between your brain and your body. When it is activated, it signals to your nervous system, you are safe. You can rest. Simple ways to activate your vagus nerve. 1. Humming or chanting. Research shows that vocal practices like humming and chanting stimulate the vagus nerve, enhancing parasympathetic nervous system activity. Studies on the yogic practice of Om chanting demonstrate increased heart rate variability and autonomic balance. Paced humming or singing near 0.1 Hz enhances respiratory sinus arrhythmia and positive effect. How to do it? Take a deep breath. Exhale slowly while humming. Feel the vibration in your throat and chest. Repeat 5 to 10 times. Try chanting Om or VOO at a low, comfortable pitch. 2. The VOO breath. Dr. Peter Levine developed this simple technique. Take a deep breath in. On the exhale, make a low, resonant VOO sound. Feel the vibration in your chest and abdomen. Repeat 3 to 5 times. 3. Cold exposure. Brief exposure to cold water, even 30 seconds at the end of a shower, activates the vagus nerve. Start with cool, not freezing. Gradually increase as your tolerance builds. Omega-3 fatty acids. Fuel for the depleted brain. Trauma and chronic stress deplete the brain's essential fats. Omega-3s, especially EPA and DHA, are the building blocks of brain cell membranes. They reduce inflammation and support mood regulation. What the research says: omega-3 PUFAs promote phospholipid integration and alleviate oxidative stress, which may account for their antidepressant effects. Long-chain omega-3 PUFAs have beneficial effects in depression. Omega-3 fatty acids combined with antidepressant medication significantly improve depression symptoms in patients with treatment-resistant depression. How to start? Look for a high-quality fish oil or algae oil with at least 1,000 milligrams of combined EPA/DHA. Start with a lower dose and increase slowly. Consult a doctor first, especially if you are on blood thinners. Magnesium. The calming mineral magnesium is involved in over 300 enzymatic reactions in the body, including those that regulate the nervous system. Trauma survivors are often depleted. What the research says: a systematic review found that magnesium supplementation may be associated with a reduction in symptoms of depression and anxiety compared to control groups. Combining magnesium with vitamin B6 may have a synergistic effect. Low magnesium intake is linked with more depressive symptoms, anxiety, and sleep disturbances. How to start? Magnesium glycinate is especially good for sleep and calming the nervous system. Magnesium threonate crosses the blood-brain barrier and may support cognitive function. Start with 200 to 400 milligrams before bed. Too much can cause digestive upset. Start low and increase gradually. Laughter therapy. Medicine you can access right now. You may not feel like laughing. You may feel like you will never laugh again. But the research is clear. Laughter is not just an emotion. It is a physiological reset button. What the research says: a meta-analysis of 15 RCTs involving 1,344 adults found that laughter interventions significantly reduce stress. A single laughter session can reduce cortisol levels by 36.7%. A separate meta-analysis found a 31.9% reduction in cortisol across studies. Laughter yoga has been shown to reduce the cortisol response to acute stress. Laughter-based interventions significantly reduced salivary cortisol levels and stress. The physiological mechanisms involve the downregulation of cortisol secretion. What this means: you do not need to feel like laughing. You do not need to wait until you are healed. You can use laughter as a tool. How to start? Watch a comedy special. Even if you don't feel like it, even if you don't laugh, the physiological effect begins before the emotion. Try laughter yoga. You can find free videos online. Fake laughter until real laughter takes over. Remember a funny moment. Spend a few minutes each day recalling a time you laughed. Laugh with someone. Laughter in groups accelerates connection and belonging, protective factors for well-being. The Bible says it: a cheerful heart is good medicine, but a broken spirit dries up the bones. The science proves it. Crying therapy. Releasing the poison. You may have been told that crying is weakness. You may have been shamed for it, especially if you are a man. The truth is, crying is medicine. When you cry from emotional pain, your tears contain stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. You are literally releasing the poison of trauma through your eyes. What the research says, emotional tears contain higher levels of stress hormones than reflex tears. Crying activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest state. After a good cry, people often report feeling lighter, calmer, and more clear-headed. How to let yourself cry. Create safety. Find a private space where you will not be interrupted or judged. Put on music. Choose something that moves you, sad, beautiful, or powerful. Remember the pain. Let yourself feel it, just for a few minutes. Not the whole story, just a piece. Let the tears come. Do not hold them back. Do not judge yourself. Breathe through it. When the crying subsides, take slow, deep breaths. Rest. Crying is exhausting. Give yourself time to recover. You are not weak for crying. You are releasing what they tried to bury. Foods that elevate mood, and foods to avoid. What to eat more of. Food. Fatty fish. High in omega-3 EPA/DHA, brain fuel. Dark leafy greens. High in magnesium and folate. Nuts and seeds. Magnesium, healthy fats, and zinc. Fermented foods. Gut-brain connection. Healthy gut equals healthier mood. Berries. Antioxidants that protect brain cells. Dark chocolate. Contains compounds that boost endorphins and serotonin. What to avoid or reduce. Food. Sugar and refined carbs. Blood sugar spikes and crashes worsen mood. Processed foods. High in inflammatory fats and low in nutrients. Excessive caffeine. Can increase anxiety and disrupt sleep. Alcohol. A depressant that disrupts sleep and worsens depression over time. The goal, not perfection, just small shifts, one meal at a time. Spiritual connection and community. If you are religious or spiritual, reconnect with your community. What the research says, people with strong religious or spiritual communities have lower rates of depression and suicide. Spiritual practices, prayer, meditation, chanting, activate the vagus nerve and calm the nervous system. The OM chanting practice has been shown to increase heart rate variability and promote autonomic balance. How to start? Attend a service even if you sit in the back and leave early. Join a small group or study circle. Pray or meditate daily, even for 5 minutes. Chant or hum as part of your practice. Meditation and breathwork. The free medicine simple meditation. Sit quietly for 5 minutes. Focus on your breath. When your mind wanders, gently bring it back. Do not judge yourself for wandering. That is what minds do. The physiological sigh. Inhale deeply through your nose. Take a second sharp inhale to fully fill your lungs. Exhale slowly and audibly through your mouth. Repeat 3 to 5 times. This technique mechanically lowers heart rate and signals safety to the brainstem. Cold water and salt water. Cold water. Brief cold exposure activates the vagus nerve and releases dopamine and norepinephrine, the brain's get-up-and-go neurotransmitters. Start with 30 seconds of cool water at the end of a shower. Gradually increase duration and coldness. Salt water. Epsom salt baths provide magnesium through the skin, absorbed directly into the body. Sea salt or Himalayan salt in warm water can soothe sore muscles and calm the nervous system. The bridge. From surviving to thriving, your nervous system has been through a war. It will not heal overnight. But every small act of care, every deep breath, every omega-3 capsule, every moment of laughter, is a signal to your body. The danger has passed. You are safe. You can come back to life. You are not broken. You are recovering. You are not a ghost. You are thawing. Your light bulb is not burned out. It is waiting for someone to flip the switch. That someone is you. Chapter 6. Walking in the sun again, facing the fear of being put back into a terror camp. You are free. The doors are locked behind you, but you are still afraid. Every time you step outside, your body tenses. Every time you see a police car, your heart races. Every time someone raises their voice, you brace for impact. You are not paranoid. You are not crazy. Your nervous system remembers. It remembers the threat of the needle. It remembers the shared room. It remembers the shank threat. It remembers the doctor who told you to go into shock. It is trying to protect you, but it is protecting you from a danger that no longer exists. Why you are afraid of the public? You have been labeled dangerous. You have been treated like a threat. You have been stripped of your rights and locked away. Now you walk through the world and wonder, what if they see me differently? What if they judge me? What if they try to lock me up again? This is not weakness. This is a nervous system that has been burned. The hikikomori parallel. You may feel like you are becoming a hikikomori. You may feel safer staying inside. You may dread the thought of stepping out the door. That is understandable. But you do not have to stay trapped forever. Gentle re-entry. One step at a time. You do not need to fix your relationship with the world overnight. You do not need to be normal. You just need to take one small step. Step 1. Open the door. Stand in the doorway for 30 seconds. Breathe. Feel the air on your face. Do not go outside. Just stand in the doorway. Step 2. Step outside. Take one step outside. Stand there for 30 seconds. Breathe. Feel the ground under your feet. When you are ready, step back inside. Step 3. Walk to the mailbox. Walk to your mailbox and back. Notice the sounds, the smells, the sky. Do not force yourself to feel anything. Just notice. Step 4. Sit outside. Sit on your doorstep or on a bench for 5 minutes. Watch the world go by. You do not need to interact. Just observe. Step 5. One short trip. Walk to a store. Buy one thing. Come home. That is enough. Step 6. One conversation. Say hello to someone. Ask them how they are. Listen to their answer. That is enough. Rebuilding trust. Slowly. You do not need to trust everyone. You do not need to trust anyone fully. You just need to learn to trust some people sometimes in some situations. How to rebuild trust. Start small. Trust someone with a small thing, a request for help, a shared task. Watch for consistency. Trust people who show up. Trust people who keep their word. Set boundaries. You do not have to share everything. You do not have to explain yourself. Trust your gut. If someone feels unsafe, leave. You do not need to justify it. Be patient. Trust takes time. It will not come back overnight. A re-entry plan that respects your limits. Week. Goal. Action. Week 1. Open the door. Stand in the doorway for 30 seconds. Step outside for 30 seconds. Week 2. Walk to the mailbox. Walk to the mailbox and back. Sit outside for 5 minutes. Week 3. One short trip. Walk to a store. Buy one thing. Come home. Week 4. One conversation. Say hello to someone. Ask them how they are. Listen. Week 5 plus. Expand. Take longer walks. Visit a park. Attend a meeting. What to do when fear overwhelms you. Fear will return. It will not go away overnight. When fear overwhelms you. 1. Stop. Do not push through. Do not force yourself. 2. Breathe. Take 3 physiological sighs. 3. Ground. Feel your feet on the floor. Notice the room around you. 4. Name it. Say out loud, I am afraid. That is okay. I am safe right now. 5. Decide. Decide if you want to continue or turn back. Both are okay. The bridge. From fear to freedom. You may still be afraid of the world. That is okay. That is where you are right now. But here is the truth. You are not a prisoner anymore. You can choose. You can decide. You can take one step at a time. The fear will not disappear overnight, but it will shrink. Every time you step outside and nothing bad happens, your nervous system learns something new. I am safe. The danger has passed. I can walk in the sun again. Chapter 7. The Fortress of Autonomy. Why you need a fortress. You have been through the system. You have been stripped of your rights, your dignity, and your voice. You have been told that your body is not your own. You never have to let that happen again. This chapter is about building a fortress around your autonomy. It is about legal tools, practical steps, and protective measures that ensure you are the one in control of your body, your mind, and your future. You cannot change what happened to you, but you can protect yourself from ever going through it again. Psychiatric Advance Directives. Your legal shield. A Psychiatric Advance Directive is a legal document that tells doctors, hospitals, and courts what you want and what you do not want if you are ever hospitalized again. It is your voice written down so that no one can take it away. What a PAD can do: refuse specific medications or treatments. Name a trusted person to make decisions for you. State your preferences for treatment. State your preferences for who can visit you and who cannot. State your preferences for what happens to your children, pets, and home if you are hospitalized. How to get a PAD. National Resource Center on Psychiatric Advance Directives. Visit nrc-pad.org for state-by-state templates and guidelines. Bazelon Center for Mental Health Law provides free PAD templates and toolkits. Your state's mental health department. Many states have official PAD forms. Your lawyer or legal aid. They can help you draft and notarize the document. Important: once you complete a PAD, give copies to your healthcare proxy, your primary care doctor, your therapist or psychiatrist, your local hospital's records department. Keep a copy in your wallet or phone. Medical Power of Attorney. Choosing your advocate. A medical power of attorney is a legal document that names someone you trust to make medical decisions for you if you are unable to make them yourself. Why this matters: without a medical POA, the hospital will make decisions for you, often with your family, even if you do not trust them. With a medical POA, you choose who speaks for you. You choose someone who knows your wishes and will fight for them. How to choose your healthcare proxy. Pick someone you trust completely. Make sure they understand your trauma history and your treatment preferences. Talk to them about your wishes in detail: what you want, what you refuse, and why. Give them a copy of your PAD. Cutting the chemical leash. What to do if you are court-ordered on medication. Some survivors are released from the hospital on a chemical leash, court-ordered to take medications under assisted outpatient treatment or probation conditions. If this is you, you are not powerless. There are legal and practical ways to protect yourself. Option 1. Find a harm reduction psychiatrist. Look for a psychiatrist who respects informed consent and is willing to help you safely taper off medications. Search for harm reduction psychiatry or trauma-informed psychiatry in your area. Ask your current doctor, "Will you help me safely reduce my medication?" Option 2. Appeal the court order. Work with a public defender or civil rights attorney to appeal your AOT or probation conditions. Document the side effects and harm the medication is causing you: cognitive impairment, anhedonia, physical pain. Request an independent evaluation by a doctor who is not connected to the court system. Option 3. Transfer your care. Find a new provider who is willing to take over your care and document that the court-ordered medication is causing more harm than good. This documentation can be used in court to modify or terminate the order. Option 4. Request a medication review. Ask your current doctor to formally review your medication regimen in writing. If they find it is not appropriate, that written opinion can be used to challenge the court order. Option 5. Contact your state's PNA agency. Every state has a federally mandated protection and advocacy agency designed to protect individuals with disabilities from institutional abuse. They often provide free legal counsel to help you fight forced outpatient medication orders or violations of your ADA rights. Reclaiming your voice. Turning pain into purpose. You have survived something terrible. That means you have something to offer. Ways to reclaim your voice. Write. Your story matters. Write it down. Share it with others. Speak. Join a peer support group. Share your experience. Help someone else feel less alone. Advocate. Contact your representatives. Testify at hearings. Push for reform. Create. Art, poetry, music, any form of expression that lets you transform your pain into something beautiful. You are not just a survivor. You are a witness, and witnesses have the power to change the world. The bridge. From fortress to action. You have built your fortress. You have protected your autonomy. You have secured your rights. Now it is time to do something with all of that strength. Chapter 8. Solving the system of suicide from survivor to advocate. You have done the hard work. You have survived the hold. You have thawed your frozen nervous system. You have washed off the labels. You have found reasons to live. You have nourished your body and spirit. You have learned to walk in the sun again. You have built a fortress around your autonomy. Now it is time to use your voice. This chapter is about transforming your pain into purpose. It is about protecting the next person from going through what you went through. It is about being a witness and using your witness to change the world. You do not have to do all of this. You do not have to do any of it right now. But if you are ready, if you have the energy and the desire, these are the tools you need to become an advocate for yourself and for others. The Warning Beacon. A message to families before we talk about complaints and legal action. Let us talk about prevention. If you are reading this and you are a family member considering committing a loved one, please stop. Please read this section carefully. What you need to know before you commit someone. 1. The 300x risk. The week after discharge is one of the most dangerous weeks of a person's life. The suicide rate spikes 300 times higher than the general population. If you commit someone, you are not necessarily saving them. You may be putting them at greater risk. 2. The trauma of coercion. Forced hospitalization is not help. It is captivity. It is being stripped of autonomy, dignity, and voice. It is being told that your body is not your own. This causes iatrogenic trauma, harm caused by the very system that was supposed to help. 3. The discharge cliff. When your loved one is released, they will be dropped back into the exact same crisis that broke them. But now they are more broken, more exhausted, more hopeless. And they will be expected to just get better. 4. There are alternatives. Before you commit someone, consider peer support groups, trauma-informed therapy, warm lines, voluntary outpatient treatment with a trusted clinician, psychiatric advance directives. A final plea. If you love someone, listen to them, believe them, respect their autonomy. Do not put them through the trauma of forced hospitalization unless there is absolutely no other choice. And if there is no other choice, be there for them when they come out. Do not abandon them to the discharge cliff. Filing licensing board complaints. If a clinician, a psychiatrist, psychologist, social worker, or nurse committed misconduct, you can file a complaint with their licensing board. What a licensing board can do: investigate the clinician's conduct, issue a warning or reprimand, suspend or revoke their license, require additional training or supervision. What a licensing board cannot do: award you money or damages, file criminal charges, change the outcome of your case. How to file a complaint. 1. Identify the clinician's license type: psychiatrist, state medical board; psychologist, state psychology board; social worker, state social work board; nurse, state nursing board; counselor, state counseling board. 2. Find the correct board. Search online for medical board or board of social work. Most states have an online complaint form. 3. Write your complaint. Be clear and specific. Include dates, names, and details. Attach evidence. State clearly what they did wrong and how it harmed you. 4. Submit your complaint. Follow the board's instructions. Keep a copy for yourself. 5. Be patient. Investigations can take months or years. The board may not tell you the outcome. Your complaint still matters. Creates a record. Reporting the facility. If the hospital or facility committed misconduct, not just an individual clinician, you can report them to oversight bodies. Where to report. 1. The Joint Commission. Accredits most hospitals. Investigates complaints about quality of care, safety, and patient rights. File a complaint online at jointcommission.org or call 1-800-994-6610. 2. Your state's Department of Public Health. Investigates complaints about hospitals, nursing homes, and other healthcare facilities. Search online for Department of Public Health complaint form. 3. Medicare/Medicaid oversight. If the facility receives federal funding, you can report them to the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. File a complaint at cms.gov or call 1-800-MEDICARE for State Attorney General's Office. Investigates fraud, abuse, and patient neglect. File a complaint online or by phone. 5. Protection and advocacy agencies. Each state has a federally mandated P&A agency that investigates abuse and neglect in facilities. Search for protection and advocacy. Federal civil rights complaints if your rights were violated, discrimination, denial of care, abuse, you can file a federal civil rights complaint. Where to file? 1. U.S. Department of Justice Civil Rights Division. Investigates violations of the Americans with Disabilities Act and other civil rights laws. File online at justice.gov/CRT. 2. HHS Office for Civil Rights. Investigates discrimination in healthcare programs receiving federal funding. File online at hhs.gov/OCR. 3. U.S. Attorney's Office. The U.S. Attorney's Office investigates federal civil rights violations. File a citizen's complaint form. 4. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. If you experience discrimination in employment related to your disability, file online at eoc.gov. Legal recourse. What you need to know if you are considering a lawsuit. Here is what you need to know. Understanding statutes of limitations. Every state has a deadline for filing lawsuits, usually 1 to 3 years from the date of injury. If you miss the deadline, you lose your right to sue. Do not wait. If you are considering legal action, talk to a lawyer as soon as possible. State claims versus federal claims. State claims. If the facility is a state entity, you may need to file a notice of claim with the state claims commissioner before suing. Federal claims. These are filed in federal court and may have different deadlines. Finding a lawyer. Civil rights attorneys. Look for lawyers who specialize in 1983 claims, disability rights, or prisoners' rights. Medical malpractice attorneys. Look for lawyers who handle institutional negligence cases. Legal aid. If you cannot afford a lawyer, contact your local legal aid office. Bar Association Referral Service. Your state's bar association can refer you to a lawyer. Fee shifting. If you win a federal civil rights case, the defendant may have to pay your attorney's fees. This makes it easier to find a lawyer willing to take your case on contingency. Legislative advocacy. If you want to change the system, not just for yourself, but for everyone, you can become a legislative advocate. How to get involved. 1. Contact your representatives. Write to your state and federal representatives. Tell them your story. Ask them to support reforms to involuntary commitment laws. 2. Testify at hearings. When your state legislature holds hearings on mental health, testify. Share your experience. The power of lived experience cannot be overstated. 3. Join advocacy groups. Mind Freedom International. Survivor-led advocacy for human rights in mental health. Wildflower Alliance. Peer support and advocacy. Project Let's. Disability Justice and Psychiatric Survivor Advocacy. National Coalition for Mental Health Recovery. Advocacy for recovery-oriented care. 4. Write op-eds and articles. Submit pieces to local newspapers. Share your story on social media. The more people who know the truth, the harder it is to ignore. 5. Push for specific reforms. Ban on forced medication except in extreme emergencies. Right to a psychiatric advance directive. Right to peer support as an alternative to hospitalization. Mandatory discharge planning and community follow-up. Public truth-telling. Sharing your story safely. You have a powerful story. Sharing it can help others, but it can also re-traumatize you. Protect yourself. How to share your story safely. 1. Protect your identity. Use a pseudonym if you are not ready to be public. Change identifying details while keeping the core truth intact. 2. Set boundaries. Decide what you are comfortable sharing and what you are not. You do not have to share everything. 3. Pace yourself. Write in short bursts. Pause when you feel overwhelmed. Stop if it becomes too much. 4. Get support. Talk to a therapist before and after sharing your story. Share with people you trust. 5. Focus on the message. Your story is powerful because it is true. Focus on what you want others to learn from it. The power of one voice. You may feel like one voice cannot change anything. You may feel like the system is too big, too powerful, too entrenched. But the system is made of people, and people change. Every reform in history started with someone who refused to stay silent. Every law that protects patients started with someone who said, "This is wrong, and I am going to do something about it." You are that someone. Your voice matters. Your story matters. Your witness matters. You are not just a survivor. You are a witness. And witnesses have the power to change the world. The bridge. From advocate to healer, you have come a long way. You survived the hold. You understood the thaw. You washed off the labels. You found reasons to live. You nourished your body and spirit. You learned to walk in the sun again. You built a fortress around your autonomy. And now you have the tools to solve the system. But do not forget, you are still healing. You do not have to do everything at once. You do not have to save the world today. You can take one small step, one letter, one conversation, one complaint. Every step matters. Every voice matters. And when you are tired, rest. When you are overwhelmed, pause. When you need support, reach out. You have survived something terrible. You have built something beautiful. Now go out there and change the world. Appendix 48-hour survival checklist. You have just walked out of the hospital. Your nervous system is in shock. Your mind is spinning. You do not need to figure out your entire life right now. You just need to survive the next 48 hours. Do this first. Breathe. Take 3 physiological sighs. Name it. Say out loud, "I survived. I am safe right now. I do not have to fix everything today." Ground yourself. Feel your feet on the floor. Feel your back against the chair. Look around the room and name 3 objects you see. In the next 24 hours, drink water. Your body is dehydrated. Sip slowly. Eat something. Anything. Piece of bread. A banana. Soup. Your body needs fuel. Sleep, if you can. Rest. Close your eyes. Your body needs to recover. Limit stimulation. No news. No social media. No intense conversations. Reach out. If you can, send one text to one person. "I am out. I am safe. I will talk more later." In the next 48 hours, celebrate a micro-choice. Choose what to eat. Choose when to sleep. Choose what to wear. Every choice tells your brain, "I am free." Create a simple routine. Wake at a similar time. Eat at a similar time. Sleep at a similar time. Predictability signals safety. Name your survival. Say out loud, "I survived something terrible. I am not broken. I am recovering." Call 211 if you need help. Food, shelter, utilities, they can connect you to local resources. Contact the VA if you are a veteran. 1-877-4 Aid Vet. Remember, you do not need to solve your entire life today. You just need to survive. 1 hour at a time. Psychiatric Advance Directive Template. This is a legal document. Fill it out, sign it, notarize it, and give copies to your healthcare proxy, doctor, and local hospital. Psychiatric Advance Directive of 1. Statement of Purpose. I am creating this Psychiatric Advance Directive because I want to make my treatment preferences known in advance. I want to be treated with dignity, respect, and compassion. I do not want to be subjected to forced interventions unless absolutely necessary. 2. My treatment preferences. If I am unable to make decisions for myself, I want trauma-informed care only. To be treated in the least restrictive setting possible. To continue my current therapy with my trusted clinician. To be allowed to refuse the following medications. To be allowed to refuse forced injections. To be allowed to refuse electroconvulsive therapy. To be allowed to refuse restraints and seclusion. Other preferences. 3. My healthcare proxy. I choose the following person to make medical decisions for me if I cannot make them myself. Name, phone, email. 4. Who can visit me? I want the following people to be allowed to visit me. I do not want the following people to visit me. 5. What happens to my life? If I am hospitalized, I want my children/pets/home to be cared for by. 6. My signature. I make this directive freely and voluntarily. Signature. Date. Witness 1. Witness 2. Notary. Peer Support Directory Wildflower Alliance. Peer-led support groups. No clinical jargon. No labels. Website. wildfloweralliance.org. Online support groups. wildfloweralliance.org/online-support-groups. Peer support line. 407-4515. Mind Freedom International. Survivor-led advocacy for human rights in mental health. Website. mindfreedom.org. Free virtual peer meetings and activist networks. Project Let's. Disability justice and peer support for survivors of psychiatric harm. Website. projectlets.org. Hearing Voices Network. Support for people who hear voices or experience extreme states. Non-pathologizing. Website. hearingvoicesusa.org. Fireweed Collective. Mutual aid and support spaces for people harmed by the psychiatric system. Website. fireweedcollective.org. Key citations and bibliography. Epidemiological studies. Chung, D. T. et al. Suicide rates after discharge from psychiatric facilities. A systematic review and meta-analysis. JAMA Psychiatry. Chung, D. T. et al. Meta-analysis of suicide rates in the first week and the first month after psychiatric hospitalization. BMJ Open. Kessing, L. V. et al. Involuntary versus voluntary psychiatric admission and the risk of suicide. A national register-based cohort study. The Lancet Regional Health, Europe. Olfson, M. et al. Suicide following deliberate self-harm. The post-discharge cliff. JAMA Psychiatry. Haglund, A. et al. Suicide after psychiatric hospitalization. A nationwide cohort study of 2.9 million discharges. Journal of Clinical Psychiatry. Books. Whitaker, Robert. Mad in America, Bad Science, Bad Medicine, and the Enduring Mistreatment of the Mentally Ill. Basic Books, 2002. Wypond, Rob. Your Consent is Not Required. The Rise in Psychiatric Involuntary Commitment and How We Stop It. 2023. Herman, Judith. Trauma and Recovery. The Aftermath of Violence. From Domestic Abuse to Political Terror. Basic Books. 1992. Vander Kolk. Bessel. The Body Keeps the Score. Brain, Mind, and Body in the Healing of Trauma. Penguin Books. 2014. Bregan, Peter. Toxic Psychiatry. Drugs and Electroconvulsive Therapy. The Truth and the Better Alternatives. St. Martin's Press, 1991. Davies, James. Sedated and Cracked. Why Psychiatry is Failing Patients and What We Can Do About It. 2024. Expanded Resource List. Emergency Resources. 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Call or text 988. Crisis Text Line. Text HOME to 741741. VA Crisis Line. 1-800-273-8255 and press 1. Food Assistance. Feeding America. feedingamerica.org. National Hunger Hotline. 1-866-3 Hungry. Food Finder. foodfinder.us. Housing and Shelter. HUD. HUD.gov. National Call Center for Homeless Veterans. 1-877-4 AID VET. Utility Assistance. LIHEAP. Search online for your state's LIHEAP office. Catholic Charities. catholiccharitysusa.org. General Resources. 211. Dial 211 or visit 211.org. Findhelp.org. Findhelp.org. SAMHSA. SAMHSA.gov. USA.gov. USA.gov. Legal Resources. National Resource Center on Psychiatric Advance Directives. NRC-PAD.org. Baislon Center for Mental Health Law. Baselon.org. Protection and Advocacy Agencies. Search for your state's PNA agency.